want to get out of here.
All right, good evening, everybody. Tonight is Tuesday, July 11th. It's the monthly meeting of the planning board. If everyone could stand and say pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, the first item on the agenda is a waiver of site plan review approval for Verizon for 2 new antenna dishes on existing equipment shelter. And Molly Patton will be presenting that. Yep, pop on up then.
Sure.
If you just let the folks know the location and what you're planning on doing.
Okay,
Great.
do you want to repeat my name? Do you need?
Sure, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm Molly Patton. I'm with SAI Group representing Verizon Wireless. The location is 725 Main Street. And I can just read the request that Audra had sent.
You can just summarize it.
And
Executive summary is
basically,
fine.
basically, they want to put 2 antenna dishes on top of the shelter. If you've seen it at the Inn and Hope building, they're going to be talking to each other. There's going to be a cable running to each antenna, covered by a PVC pipe, so there's not going to be any penetrations whatsoever. Ballasted with cement blocks, and that's really it.
Right, so basically it's a minimal impact.
Right.
Almost no impact.
No
on an
electrical, no
existing-
civil.
Right,
Correct.
so, and that is an industrial area right now, so basically it's no real big deal to put 2 antennas there because we've got a lot of other interesting things to look at there that don't, wouldn't be an eyesore, so. All right, is there anything from the board?
I'm just curious, what are the antennas for?
The antennas are for future use. Like, so they have the equipment right now, and if they don't put it up there, it'll go somewhere else. And they intend to build out more of the area, so at some point you might see them back. But right now, they just need to put them there so they can talk to each other. And then in the future, they'll be possibly upgrading, but right now, that's what they're for.
For 5G?
Eventually. Yeah, everything's taking a long time. Equipment is an issue too, right? So if it's one of those, if you don't put it there, like I said, it goes somewhere else, and they want to get it out here.
Go ahead.
And there's no issue with regards to the weight of these things on top
No,
of the...
no, I don't know if you have, I'm assuming you have the same.
No, the engineer did a study, and they said that the existing structure could carry the weight of it, and they
Right.
had a ballast of, I don't know, it was a certain number of cement blocks that would hold down the equipment, and if,
It's 64 pounds in
Right.
total.
Okay.
I think one of the sheets that was sent shows 8 blocks at, the total is 256 pounds, but that is like
Yep.
the worst case, and that's for Florida. So here in
Oh,
this
okay.
area, New England,
Yeah,
based
I
on the
did,
wind.
I
Yeah,
did
the
read
weight-
that, and
right.
I saw the
Yep.
64 pounds and the 256 pounds, and
they used the New
not being an
England-
engineer or
Right.
in this business, I just wanted to verify the weight. Okay, that was my...
They used the New England high speed, which was 140 miles an hour.
140, exactly.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
I read that during my lunch hour, because I had nothing better to do, so.
No, I did read it over, but there were,
You didn't memorize the 140?
no,
miles
it's just,
an hour?
as Molly said, there was on here reference 256 pounds, and on the letter reference 64 pounds, so I just wanted to...
Yeah, that was confusing, but that was the only example I had, and I went to take a look at the shelter just because I wasn't sure it was gonna look exactly like that, and it kind of does. It's pretty much the same thing. It's the 2 doors on the side, there's nothing on top, they're just gonna have 2 small dishes on the top, that's it.
Perfect.
It's probably the most simple, straightforward thing.
Thank you.
It might take them a day, maybe 2, tops.
Okey-dokey. Are there any other comments? Anyone in the audience? Nope. All right, with that being said, I make a motion that we approve the request of waiver for site plan for 725 Main Street.
Second.
All right, the motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, great.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming.
Thank
Now,
you.
do I
Thank you.
just wait for the approval and then we can file for the, is there a permit?
Yes, I'll send a memo to the building inspector saying that this has been waived, and I'll send a copy to you, and right after he receives that, you can go apply for the building permit.
Perfect.
I'll get that to him tomorrow and to you.
Thank you. Well, probably Audra, or me.
Oh, both of you, yeah. Will do.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right, great.
Thank you.
All right, and let's see, this is not a public hearing, so we're good,
Nope,
right?
not a
Okay.
public hearing.
All right, so we're gonna be slightly ahead of schedule. The next item on the agenda is Rocky's Ace Hardware, 813 Main Street. Field change request, change from a 500-gallon propane filling tank to a 1,000-gallon tank for an early decision. And presenting that is Jeffrey Tufts.
Yes.
So, all right, if you want to let us know what you're doing and.
Well, I'm the service manager for Devaney Energy, and when it came time to come down to take out the permit, the fire department informed me that it was a 500-gallon tank. And because we do use thousands for this type of setup. And one of the main things is that you want to have enough to get through your busiest days, which would be a Saturday, or I don't know if they're open Sunday, to be honest with you, but
They are.
They are. So what you want to try to keep down is the fact that you would need a delivery during the middle of the day. You want to have enough to get through. And when we talk about 1,000 gallons, that's the capacity of the tank in water capacity. Propane capacity is more like 825. And as opposed to the 500 would in the 400 area. So there is a difference there. Each tank, if you were to fill the average grill tank, it's about 4.2 gallons. And I would like to make a point on that just for public knowledge, but because I think it's a benefit to the town, the more filling stations you have, because you might not know that when you go to a filling station and fill your tank, you walk away with 20 pounds of propane. Whether you had some in there or not, but when you walk away, it's 20 pounds. All the exchanges are now 14 pounds, 7 ounces. And I don't think people know that. It's like buying the 1 pound can of coffee.
You get 11 ounces.
11 ounces.
There we go.
So if you read the labels on those exchange things, they're only 3/4 full. And the people are paying, a lot of times they're paying more than if they were to fill the tank all the way. So it is a benefit to have a filling station. I didn't know if you would circulate to the fire chief ahead of time and see if he responded.
We already talked to him. I
Yeah,
called
okay.
him, and he said that's fine.
Yeah,
So
I
that's-
didn't want to speak for him, but I
Yeah.
felt that he was in favor of that.
Yeah.
The more deliveries we can cut, the better it is.
Yeah, he basically said that, he was actually surprised that you'd put a 500 in the original application, because so he's fine with it, they're all set, so. All right, and so that's gonna go in the same place, there's really no change there. So, does the board have anything to say? Or any comments? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Will there be any need for structural change, the padding size, anything?
I think the pad, was the same size. I don't think there's any difference that way. We
Okay.
take, the tank is about 6 feet longer, a couple inches wider, but 6 feet longer. And then we have a cabinet. And in the cabinet is all the piping and the pumps and that stuff. And depending on the length of the pad, we put the cabinet in front of the tank, or on the end of the tank. So we try to make that, whatever's the best access.
Okay.
And the tank is also, we letter all our tanks, so it says, Rockies on it, and so it looks, it's not just
So
that.
this is literally just a different size, a larger tank, but everything else is?
Everything's the same. Yeah, we use the same base on
Okay.
a 500 as we do 1,000.
Okay, thank you.
All right, good. There's no more comments because there's no more audience. So I make a motion that we approve the field change to change the tank from 500 gallons to 1,000 gallons at Rocky's Hardware.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. All right, all set. Thank you.
Okay, and I applaud your summer meetings. I was the selectman for 20 years. Too often, I did not want to come in. Didn't really want to go, yeah.
We try to be efficient because
Yes.
we know our audience at home has a lot of other things to do than watch our meetings, so.
And Jeff, I'll prepare a memo and CC you on it as well, and send it to the building.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Great, thank you, appreciate it. All right. Let's see here, so we have that in there.
If you want to, skip to the planning board rep to Community Preservation Committee. Alan is currently the planning board rep to the CPC, and I asked him, and he said he's willing to do another 3-year term.
Okay.
So he needs
Bless
to
you.
be
Reinstated.
reappointed as the rep.
Okay.
So the planning board just has to make a motion to appoint him as the representative from the
Okey-doke.
planning board.
All right, is there any discussion from the, no, okay, good.
Thank you, Alan.
All right. I make a motion that we recommend Alan Handel for the representative from the planning board for the CPC.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor? You
Aye.
can vote.
Aye.
Aye. All right, all pass, great. All right, well, thank you for doing that.
And then the payroll signatories is just another standard vote for the first of the fiscal year. And if you want, you can ask Alan to make that motion.
Okay.
Since you guys are
Oh,
the
yeah.
signatories.
Okay. I make a motion to authorize either Richard Nichols or Nicole Riley to sign or approve planning board payroll for fiscal year 2024. And I make a motion to authorize Richard Nichols, oh, wait, do I need to do these separately?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes, so-
Okay, so second the first motion.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, aye, well, we can vote too.
Oh, okay. Aye.
We'll vote aye, but that's fine.
And I make a motion to authorize Richard Nichols to sign or approve bills for the planning board for fiscal year 2024.
Second.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, great. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Next is approval of minutes from June 13th, 2023. So I make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes of June 13th as written.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, great. Next item, we didn't get a monthly report, or
No,
you wanted to throw the thing in for
there
Bob?
was no change since the
Fox?
last month, and I didn't know if there was an update on that, so I just put it on the agenda. Do you
Right.
know if there's any update on?
Well, in this one, we released that, so we're not gonna.
Right, oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, So
No,
we'll
I
skip
just
that
meant if
part.
it's been done yet.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah.
know if the
Oh,
work
that-
has been done yet?
No,
Oh, okay.
the work has not been done. So
Okay.
so on the Acorn Basin, the developer has gotten the equipment over there. They started, and surprisingly, it started to rain. So they're waiting for the water levels to go down to try to get that sub-drain that we talked about earlier, in the basin taken care of, but they have to wait till the water stops running through the basin to do that work. So last year, when we had a drought, the work didn't get done. Now we have a monsoon, and they're trying to get that done, so we're giving them some more time, but they're under the understanding that that work needs to be completed. So he is painfully aware of we need to have that work done, and he is going to make sure that happens, so. And,
Just one last thing,
Yep.
and then I think Nicole has something. Our September meeting was tentatively scheduled for September 19th because the select board was supposed to be meeting in here on September 12th. They're no longer meeting in this room on September 12th, so the room is available if you want to go back to our regular schedule and meet on September 12th instead of the 19th. Does that work for folks?
that's fine with me,
I can do either.
yeah, so we'll just change that.
Okay, so it'll be September 12th.
All right, let me just put that in, hold on, come on. And, September, yep, okay.
Josh, does the 12th work for you?
Absolutely. I'm on board 100%.
Yep, so can we set up the Zoom, Camille, so we can get?
Yeah, when do I lose my residency?
You're on a different time zone though, so that would be, let's see, if we're here.
6:30 for you.
Oh, it's nice, yeah.
2 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, are you 2 hours?
It's 2 hours, yeah.
You'll be zooming in from work.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, all right,
Yeah,
good.
and we can have those traditional 4-hour meetings and have plenty of time. No worries.
All right.
Do
Nicole
you want
might
to
have
schedule October? or
Update
is it
from the
too soon?
3A, 40A, whatever. Did you want to provide a quick update on that?
Sure, with your permission.
Yeah, go ahead, please, yes.
Yeah, just to let you all know, on the MBTA 3A update, committee update. MAPC is currently, we came to the last meeting, we let them know that we were interested in seeing the zoning areas be along 109, but say just behind the property that runs along 109, because most of the lots on 109 that are either, they fall under the mixed-use development, so we didn't feel that putting the 3A multifamily zoning on top of that could possibly take away from the usage for multi-use district, and we felt that along 109, we really wanted to keep and encourage multi-use and not turn 109 into just a strip of apartments. So MAPC is currently looking at the lots and trying to determine a couple of options for us in units, in location of lots, and it doesn't have to be contiguous, so they're trying to play around with that. Fortunately for the 3A committee, we have Dan Merrickin on our committee, so he has been playing around with some things as well. So they will be bringing that to us in, I believe our next meeting is the middle of August. And we'll be trying to narrow down, hopefully, the areas and maybe what lots this because we want it to be an overlay district. They were trying to, MAPC has suggested changing the underlying zoning, and I think Dan and I are getting people, and actually and Craig, getting that idea away and having it be an overlay district, because changing the underlying zoning is really going to be a massive headache. And I honestly don't think that's fair to the people that currently own properties. So once the areas can be determined, then we can start focusing on the actual zoning language. And that's where we hopefully will be able to maintain some control in the design layout, in the setbacks. You know, it's kind of difficult because you have to be able to provide for the density, but we really want to maintain the similar, if not the exact same setbacks that are currently there. So you now, again, don't have people coming in and where they used to have 30 feet from their house to the property line and then another 30 feet to the net. Now they've lost half that distancing. And we are also waiting, I've asked this question the last 2 committee meetings, and MAPC does not have an answer. If they do not have an answer next month, I'm going to ask, I've told Craig I will be requesting that he find out from town council if we can limit density as far as if it's 15 units per acre, is that going to, can we say, okay, you have to have, though, a minimum of a half acre, or, you know, so that you can't start cramming in little things into a, you know, into a 5,000, if you've got a posted stamp lot, that you can now build in a, you know, 4,000 square foot lot, you're going to be cramming in these 4 family units that have to encompass.
Did they have a FAR? So that would be a footprint to land size, you know, so they basically, like in some towns, they have that and they have a limit. So basically, you can't take, you know, a lot that is 100 by 100 and put a house that is 80 by 80 on it. They have a ratio on that.
We don't have that in Millis.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if we can establish that just for this overlay. I think if we had that in Millis,
Then we'd be able to carry
we'd
it.
be able to carry it over.
Right.
But we will be implementing the requirement into this overlay district that there has to be a percentage of affordable housing in that. That the uppercase affordability will become a part of this lowercase affordable housing.
We can do that?
Yes. Yes, so we will be requiring that, and then again, we need to move forward on establishing that for the entire town. I think that will be beneficial, but we can incorporate it specifically into this overlay district.
That's great.
So,
And just as a follow-up to everybody, so that this, what Nicole was talking about is that the state has put forward a MBTA community, so if you're within a specific distance of the MBTA, they're requiring us to do certain things to increase the affordable housing and ability to build multi-unit housing by right versus having to go for special permit. So
Right.
that's what we're talking about on that. And then for the, when she was talking about the 109, basically in the setback, that would be at 109, a distance back, we were keeping as the commercial, because that's what it is, or industrial.
correct, most of 109, most of the property in what we loosely would consider the center of town, on either side of 109, the properties that abut Main Street, most of them are commercial. There are a few that are residential, but the majority of them are commercial. Then, of course, heading west, they're industrial. And within the center of town, the mixed-use development overlay applies to those lots, so that you can, in that mixed-use overlay regulations, allows some flexibility if you have a facility that has commercial, retail, business on, generally speaking, the first floor, the first 2 floors, and then above that, residential. And we want to encourage the development of mixed use. We don't want to also put a multifamily overlay so that if someone takes Keith's Bait and Tackle, it's the only, just pulling that off the top of my head. If he were to sell his property, or if he were to just decide he wanted to build something else on it, we don't want to take away or if somebody's going to build something larger, we want it to maintain commercial. We have too little commercial in Millis, so we don't want anything that could potentially draw from that. So we're going to take the first row of properties, and then the next, those would remain the overlay district for multi-use. And then the ones going further north and south, we're looking to kind of maintain that closer to 109, as opposed to having these overlay districts in further away from Main Street. Because one of the purposes for this is to have housing that doesn't require as much parking, that encourages public transportation, not that we have any public transportation, eventually, hopefully that may happen, but encourages walking into town, being able to utilize the business district. And just at that point, the Economic Development Committee will be presenting to the Select Board next month on the Complete Streets program. We have come up with our priority list, which is different than what was presented to us by Beta. We met with Jim McKay, with Chief Sapphire, and with Chief Barrett, and came up with their priorities and addressed a couple of our top priorities based on their input will be improving certain intersections that actually have fatalities almost yearly. Village Street and Acorn, Himmelfarb, Middlesex, Ridge, and, Middlesex and Ridge. But there are also, some of the priorities would be for improving sidewalk access. For example, none of our sidewalks in the center of town have the the raised detection panels on the ground that, the yellow at the ramps for handicap access. We don't have any of those along 109. Improving the intersection by the library and coming out onto Main Street so that that is safer for walking as well as driving. And the bike lane is
Perfect.
in the bottom of our priority list. Out of the 12 or 14 items that they came up with, both chiefs, the head of the DP, Jim McKay, and our committee all just said, bikes are great. We don't want to discourage bikes. But that's putting a bike lane on 109 through the center of town is just, some sections have parking, some sections don't. We're also, one of our priorities is to redo the sidewalks from down Plain Street from 109 to the high school, if not all the way down to Village Street. So now, once we get their approval, we will submit all of that to the state, and if we receive a grant based on that, we get up to a $500,000 reimbursement for the project itself. The town would have to pay for the design fees. So all of that would have to go to town meeting, and the select board could then, the 5 top that we present, if they approve, that we submit to to the state, they could choose which, the town could say, okay, yes, you guys came up with these 5, but we want sidewalks, to the high school first, or whatever.
All right, that's good.
So that's,
Good, perfect. Yep.
just to let you guys know what's going
No,
on.
it's all good, and we appreciate you volunteering for that thing, committee. And, because that's gonna be an interesting conversation at town meeting when we get that far. So, all right, unless there is anything else. And we're wishing Josh, we've already wished Josh good luck, because Josh is moving on. We think we did that at the last meeting, but he's really moving on this time.
Yes.
The last time was just a tease, but now he's off to Colorado, so we thank you for your service, and it was great having you here. And good luck out in the West Coast,
Thank you.
so,
It's been a pleasure.
yep. All
We
right,
will miss you.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All
George is saying, I'm gonna be here longer because he's gone, so.
Whatever.
My apologies to your wife. I'm really sorry.
All right, with that being said, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh,
We did.
We approved.
Yeah.
We already approved him. Dude, you gotta pay attention.
Is this how it's gonna be when I'm gone?
I'm recovering from a concussion.
All right, with that being said, I make a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
You
great.
didn't
We didn't
second
second it, I don't care. That's all right, good. All right, good night, everybody.